Okay, let's just dive right into this. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are taking on what is honestly the ultimate thought experiment. We are going to completely decode the engineering and financial miracles of the Taj Mahal by theoretically rebuilding the entire thing today, right from the ground up. We're going to break down exactly what it would take, using our best 21st century tools, to recreate this absolute masterpiece from the 17th century. So, I want to pose a question to you right out of the gate. Could modern technology actually rebuild the Taj Mahal today? From afar, this monument looks perfectly serene, almost effortless, but the reality of replicating it is astronomically expensive and technically daunting. Even with all of our advanced tools, modern computers, and cutting-edge structural engineering, recreating this 400-year-old marvel would push us to our absolute limits. To really wrap our heads around what we're dealing with here, just think about other incredible historical structures. We see massive environmental challenges being overcome all the time, right? Angkor Wat was built over a swamp way back in the year 1150. The Leaning Tower of Pisa has somehow stood for 800 years on a shockingly shallow 3-meter foundation. Venice was built literally over the water. But the Taj Mahal, it takes the absolute hardest elements of architectural difficulty and combines them into one single massive project. Okay, let's get into phase one, securing a muddy foundation. The contrast in problem solving here is just wild. Back in 1632, Mughal engineers dug thousands of deep wells along the riverbank and filled them with ebony and mahogany logs. And why wood? Because those specific woods actually strengthen and become solid almost like steel when they absorb water. It's genius. But today, building codes absolutely would not allow a wooden foundation right next to a river. So, to match that stability today, we'd need massive heavy drilling machines to bore 600 holes, each 1.5 meters wide and 150 feet deep, straight down to the bedrock, and then pack them with steel piles and water-resistant concrete. And we're not done there. Once those 600 subsurface pillars dry, they have to be capped. For the 3-acre main structure, modern engineering dictates we pour a 5-meter thick concrete slab. That translates to roughly 6,700 cubic meters of concrete. To visualize that, you would need a continuous bumper-to-bumper line of over 7,500 concrete mixer trucks queued up to pour just the foundation base. It's unbelievable. So, let's drop the first massive bill on our running tab. Between a $20 million cofferdam to hold the river back, $100 million for the steel piles, and $130 million for that massive concrete platform, securing the foundation alone would cost a staggering $250 million today. And remember, that's before we have placed a single piece of white stone above the ground. Which brings us to phase two, the marble and megaframe. Now, there is a super common myth out there that the Taj Mahal is made of solid marble. Actually, a standard red brick weighs about 3 kilograms, but a similarly sized block of marble weighs 5.5 kilograms. It's 83% heavier. If the Mughal engineers had built the entire structure out of solid marble, it would have been so overwhelmingly heavy that the foundation would have totally failed and sunk into the mud. Instead, they smartly built a structural core of red brick and lime mortar and used the white marble merely as a brilliant casing. We do the exact same thing today, probably using reinforced concrete for the core. But actually getting that marble casing is a logistical nightmare. In the 17th century, the Mughals hauled 7,000 tons of marble from Makrana, which was 300 kilometers away, using a network of over 1,000 elephants and a massive 9-kilometer earthen ramp just to drag the stones up the building. Today, to extract that exact same premium, limited Makrona marble within a stripped 5-year timeline, chisels aren't going to cut it. We would need to run 250 heavy-duty diamond-coated wire saws continuously alongside a fleet of 1,100 transport trucks making drops every 15 minutes. And the energy required for this? It is staggering. To run those 250 diamond wire saws day and night for 5 years, we would consume 864,000 megawatt hours of electricity. To put that completely wild number into perspective, that is equal to the annual electricity consumption of the entire country of the Maldives, just to cut the stone. So, let's update our running tab. We've got $150 million for the modern concrete frame, $550 million to lease the mines and account for a massive 70% marble waste factor, $300 million for the diamond cutting and power, and $80 million for truck transport. This phase alone slaps an eye-watering $1.08 billion onto our bill. Moving right along to phase 3, the impossible human touch. Those breathtaking, colorful floral patterns all over the Taj Mahal, they are not painted on. They're created using an ancient art form called pietra dura, or parshinkari. This involves carving a shallow, millimeter-deep mold into the white marble and then taking a precisely cut precious gemstone and fitting it inside perfectly. The stones are sanded down so flawlessly that the joints between the gemstone and the marble are literally invisible to the human eye. Now, you might think modern engineering makes this a total breeze, right? Today, we can easily animate stunning, photorealistic 3D models of these intricate patterns on a computer screen. We can create an entire digital animation of the building and theoretically send those files straight to a 3D printer or a laser cutter. But translating a perfect digital animation into physical, unyielding stone is a totally different story. Blending the delicate curves and perfectly aligning the natural veins of actual precious gems requires a level of physical exactness and natural intuition that completely baffles modern machinery. So, to replicate what we can flawlessly animate on a screen, we would still have to scour the globe to find and hire 5,000 master artisans to finish the stone edges and fit them entirely by hand. Putting a price tag on that level of human genius is tough. But calculating the sheer labor, the living expenses for 5,000 artists over 5 years, plus about $40 million for the laser cutting setups to assist them, brings the art and artisan labor bill to roughly $220 million. And finally, Phase 4, illusions and the final nil. The original architects baked literal magic into this design. For example, as you walk through the main gate, the monument actually appears to shrink the closer you get to it. And those 4 massive 43-meter-tall minarets surrounding the tomb? They look perfectly straight to us, but they are actually leaning 0.5 degrees outward. It's pure genius. First, it corrects a geometric visual illusion. If they were perfectly straight, they'd look like they were leaning inwards from afar. Second, if a massive earthquake ever strikes, that tiny outward tilt ensures the massive towers will fall away from the main tomb, protecting the main structure. Tallying all of this up reveals a staggering grand total for the structure alone. Foundation, $250 million. Frame and marble, $1.08 billion. Art, artisans, and those clever leaning minarets, roughly $270 million. That brings the modern structural cost to $1.6 billion. And remember, that completely excludes the cost of purchasing 42 acres of premium real estate. It excludes the sprawling gardens, the reflecting pools, and those perfectly engineered fountains. Factor in the land and the landscaping, and you are easily clearing the $2 billion mark. But perhaps the most mind-bending statistic of all comes right from the official historical records. We know the Mughal Empire spent roughly 32 million Mughal rupees on this project. Adjusted for modern purchasing power, that is astronomical. The construction of the Taj Mahal consumed 15% of the total annual income of the Mughal Empire. We're talking about the wealthiest empire in the world at the time, and they poured 15% of their total wealth into one single project. Which brings us to our final provocative thought. Technically, yes, we absolutely have the tools, the trucks, the diamond saws, and the structural engineering to physically rebuild the Taj Mahal today. But would any modern nation on Earth be willing to spend 15% of its total wealth purely on a monument of memory with absolutely zero financial return? The original builders didn't just stack marble. They captured the absolute passion and unmatched devotion of an entire empire. And while we can replicate the stone and animate the blueprints, that level of sheer human passion is something modern technology can never truly rebuild.